Today we're going to be talking about tabs inside of Xamarin and .NET MAUI applications. Top tabs, bottom tabs, tab sandwiches, all the tabs, all the time. So tune in. Hey everyone, I'm James Montemagno and I'm back with another Xamarin 101 and .NET MAUI 101. Slap them together because it's the same, stuff going on here for the tabbed pages and for shell tabbed navigation. Now, I'm pretty excited because in almost every single one of my applications, I use tabs somewhere. It's a core fundamental piece of an application. Just like flyout navigation is very popular for applications with a lot of sections or a lot of different areas to go to, tabs have sort of been a fundamental piece of iOS and Android. Specifically on Android, the tabs are always kind of on top and they were just mostly used for separating pieces of content, like, oh, these are my favorite posts and these are my all posts and these are a category post. And those have been the top tabs. However, really bottom tabs on iOS became the standard. Those sort of 5 or 6, if you're on iPadOS, I think you get one more tab, core sections that the default tabs can go to. And that's how a lot of applications are being built today. So what I wanted to show you is how to use the tabbed page in Xamarin.Forms and .NET MAUI, and also how to use it inside of shells. This will be a little bit longer of a video, but I want to break down both of them because of course you can mash them together like everything I'm talking about here. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so what I have is just a file new blank application, nothing fancy here, just welcome to Xamarin.Forms, start developing. Well, let's talk about it here, how we add a tabbed page. So what I'm going to do is on my shared code, right click, and I'm going to say add new item. Under Xamarin.Forms, you're going to see tabbed page. I'm just going to add tabbed page 1. That sounds like a great name. Now, if for some reason you don't see tabbed pages in there, or for some reason the item templates aren't showing up, the only difference between a content page that we see here is that the tabbed page is a tabbed page. You'd have to change that in your XAML. And then of course you need to change it back here where it inherits from the tabbed page. You could also come in and just say var pages equals a new, tabbed page and just create your tabbed page in C# code behind as well. You can do that, but I prefer XAML and we'll kind of see why here in a second. But let's look at what this is. It's a tabbed page consisting of 3 pages, and these pages are just created directly inside of this tabbed page. Let me just run this and show you what it looks like here, because it's actually quite fascinating. If you just need to slap together a bunch of tabs really quick, you can actually just shove a bunch of pages inside the tabbed page as children. So here we go. Let's go ahead and boot this up. And of course, like I always do, I always forget to change the startup page. So let's open the app XAML and change this to tabbed page 1 and put this back to the squiggle. Perfect. All right, so that's going to be our main page of our application, and we'll get it up really quick once here. There we go. So perfect. So we have 3 tabs. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. And it's just using the default styling. There is a toolbar XAML or XML file for Android that's automatically brought in from the Xamarin.Forms project, and you can override the defaults, but you can just set the properties to, and I'll show you what that means as far as this blue and the sort of white and faded white color here of the selected and unselected tabs. But look at that, I get tabs and I get them on top. Now, if I run this application on iOS, I'm gonna get the tabs on the bottom because tabs only exist on the bottom. They can also exist on the bottom for Android, but before I get there, let's just talk about what's happening in this page, okay? So the first thing we're gonna see here is if I say background color red, and I hit that, there's the red page. It's a full page inside of there. If I make them all red, they're all going to be red, but let's change one to pink, and let's change one to orange. And now as I scroll through them, you're going to see the different colors. There we go. Look at that. Now that's pretty cool. I can flip through them, which is cool. You can also disable that, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But there we go. We can go ahead and just set a bunch of stuff. Now, this is creating the content pages directly inside of this sort of page. And if you were to set a view model on this tabbed page, it would trickle down to its children. You could also set a view model on every single page if you wanted to, totally up to you. The cool part about this is that you could actually just slap an existing page inside of here. So let's bring in a XMLNS namespace of local. My app is called app2. So that's where the page over here lives, this main page.xaml. And instead of bringing in that content page, I'm just going to say local main page and bring it in. And now we have a full main page. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I could also give it a title. And here I'll just say hello world. And it updates right there. Look at that. That's pretty cool. All right. Now, what about the colors of these pages, on the tabs? For example, there's just this blue. Well, luckily enough, you have all those properties. If I just say color, you'll see background color, that's of the page, bar background color, bar text color, selected tab color, unselected tab color. Bar color is what you'd expect. If I was to say orange, it's going to change it to orange. Looks pretty cool. You can use static and dynamic resources there. So if you want light theme and dark theme, totally works. Now, if we want bar color, bar text color of, let's say, black, right? You just put that in there and now you have black. Now, the bar text is fine. And of course, we have this little underline here. But really, that's enough of an indicator. You'd probably want the selected and unselected colors. So instead of setting the bar text, we're going to say selected tab color of black. And now notice that these other ones are white, which is kind of cool. I can then say unselected tab color, and let's say gray, for example. And now we get gray. That's pretty cool too. So you just get those different tabs automatically. Not bad. All right. Now on Android, you can actually have a bunch of these pages. So if I just put a bunch of these pages in here, we're going to see a bunch of them here. And there we go. We get all these different views, bunch of tabs. Now, on iOS, you're only going to get 5 tabs. And honestly, anything over 5 tabs is just way too much. So you probably want to try to limit the amount of tabs that you got going on here, to be honest with you. 5 seems to seem the most. But let's talk about, now that we've colorized it, we've brought in pages, we've talked about view models a little bit. Let's talk about bottom tabs on Android. I'm glad you asked. So here's the thing. If I come in here and I want to do like placement or bar something, there's no bar position, right? Because on iOS, there is no native top tabs. And on Windows, I think they're on the bottom or on the top. So there's only one on there. But luckily with Xamarin.Forms and .NET MAUI, with the tabbed page, the one that's just built in using the native constructs, there are platform specifics. And platform specifics enable you to do platform specific things in shared code. And you can do this by bringing in a namespace. I'm going to say Android here. Type Android, and it's going to bring in Xamarin.Forms platform configuration.android specific and write a bunch of code for me. And there's a whole assembly here, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll link to documentation for platform specifics. There's a bunch of them because, for example, when I do Android : you'll see application, button, image, list view, swipe view. These are platform tweaks, if you will, for Android, iOS, and Windows that you can sort of manipulate inside of your XAML or in your code behind. So what I'm going to do is there's a tabbed page, and I can say, is smooth scrolling enabled? Is swipe paging enabled, for example? Off-screen page limit? That's kind of cool too. And then toolbar placement. And that's the one that we're going to want. And we have bottom, default, top. And we're going to say a bottom. Now we're not going to see hot reload kick in here because it's actually a fundamental shift to exactly how this works on the tabbed page. So we're just going to hit the little reload button here. That's going to go and reload our application with our changes for the tabbed page. And now what we're going to see is we get tabs on the bottom, which is super duper cool. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, there's just text on here and that's looking pretty good, James, but what about images and icons? Well, the cool part here is that on every single page, there is an icon image source. That icon image source can be anything, okay? It can be a font image, it can be an image in your application, so you can put them all in here just like you normally would. So that's what you want to use, icon image source. That's just going to set it, and that's going to be on every single page. And that's how you get them there. I'll show you what that looks like when we take a look at our coffee application that has top and bottom tabs and all this other stuff, but I just wanted to show you what this looks like. All right. So far we've added a tabbed page, we've brought in existing pages, we've customized the Android bottom position, we took a look at platform specifics, we talked about some of the platform tweaks. So for example, in iOS, you can only have 5 tabs really in general. Then anything over that just don't show up. So you have to have overflow. So try to minimize your app to 5 tabs. But what we haven't talked about is navigation. And this is really tricky in some regard. And the question is, how do you want your app to navigate? When you tap on a button on a page, do you want the whole screen to navigate? Or do you want to navigate inside of a tab? That is something that's super duper important to think about here. And you can set it all up really easily based on where your navigation page is. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so back over here on our pink page, let's go ahead and add a button in here, okay? I'm gonna say inside of this content page, there's a button, and it is going to be text, navigate, and I'm going to say clicked. I'm gonna add a click handler, and I'm done. Now, of course, I've modified some code in the code behind, so it's gonna go ahead and just stop the application, and we're gonna implement some stuff in general. So that's what we want though, is we want basically when we click on this button, we want to go do stuff. All right. So we need to decide when I'm on tab 2 here, what does this button do? Does it navigate the whole page or does it navigate the tab inside the tab? Okay. So let's check it out. Let's say I want to navigate the whole page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wrap my tabbed page in a navigation page. So I'm gonna say new navigation page. All right. Just like that. So wrap it all in a navigation page. And that's all you really got to do, to be honest with you. And then what we'll do is whenever we click on this button, we're going to say async. We're going to await navigation dot push async new main page. Just like do that. Perfect. Now remember, the navigation is based on the context where you're at. So I am inside of the tabbed page, and the tabbed page has navigation. So if I run this application, what we should see in this regard is that the entirety of that sort of tabbed navigation or the tabbed page shifts. And the first thing I want you to note here is that there's a tabbed bar up there, right? So check that out. There's a tab up there. And that's actually quite fascinating because if we wanted to put a title on it, the title would be on the tabbed page. Okay, up here, hello. That would be it there, right? So we have that there. Let's tap on it and see it all navigated. The whole thing went away. If I go back, I'm back to all of my tabs. Go again, back over here. All right. Think about that. So how do you want your app to handle? Sometimes you want to navigate away from the tabs. Sometimes you want to navigate inside the tab. So let's do that now. So to do this, normally what we would do is we'd be inside of this page. So for example, here, I'm going to give this a name of tab 2, just so I can reference that from the code behind. And what I want to do is I want to, instead of giving sort of all of these tabs, this navigation, I'm only going to give some of them, okay? So what we're going to do is inside of this, we're going to wrap the content page inside of a navigation page. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Now, this is something that isn't super well known in the XAML world, but it is well documented, is that navigation page has an argument of a page. So you could pass it in a page. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to do x:arguments. This allows you to pass in any argument you want. And in this case, it's a page. I'm going to now also do the same down here for the second one, just so we can see what a few of them look like. All right. So we have navigation page with our content page and a navigation page with another content page. Let's see what this looks like inside of our application. All right. So what we have is a few interesting things that just happened. All right. The first thing that we'll note is that the navigation page is pulling up the tab 2 here. Okay. That's really fascinating because the navigation up top takes access to that. So what we want to do is give this also a title of tab 2. All right. And we do that, we see tab 2 down here. So kind of be aware of what's happening there. If I come back and I say title of tab 3, we'll get tab 3 down there. All right. That's one thing to be aware of. Now, let's see what happens when I click on this, and I'm going to add a breakpoint back here. Click. And I want you to note that there is sort of this inside navigation, intermodal navigation stack that's going on here. So let's see what happens. Exception. Ah, interesting. What just happened there? Well, what happened is that I was trying to access the navigation of the tabbed page. The tab page doesn't have navigation though. The child page does, right? So inside of here, this one right here, tab 2 has the navigation. So what I would need to do in this case is say tab2.navigation.push async, right? So whatever the page is, in this case, I'm accessing that page inside of a page, but you would do it, in the code behind of the main page, for example. But let's go to tab 2. Let's go ahead and check it out here. And now we still have a navigation proxy, and there's actually a navigation stack that's already here. So when I go ahead and push this away, oh, we've gone down and broke it. Let's go ahead and refresh it here. Now to go here and push it, there we go. We've navigated inside of the navigation. I don't know why that acted weird, but live coding, not going to edit it out, totally keeping it in. But check it out. Boom. There we go, right? Boom, 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 boom. So really cool. So now you're sort of in control here of exactly how you want things to be coming into your application. Do you want the navigation to go sort of entire app wide or inside of it here? And you can control that, right? I could go up my parent, see if it's a tab page, and decide where I'm going to navigate to and from. But really, in essence, that's kind of all the bits and pieces of the tabbed page. All right. Tab page is pretty cool. I love it. It's one of the key fundamental pieces of any application. But let's talk about shell. If you remember in my very, very first episode of the Xamarin 101 series, when I talked about shell and why I love shell, because it gives me a lot of power in the URL navigation and scaffolding of my application, it also comes down and very helpful when it comes to tabs and flyouts. Now, our application that we've been using is the My Coffee application, and I've been updating this repo as I go. And so far, it's just using flyout navigation. Now, I do want to talk about where you would use a tab page versus where shell can actually assist you. So let's go ahead and check that out. So this is our application. It is the My Coffee application. It has coffees of the world. There's list views, there's collection views, there's databases here of My Coffee. There's settings such as light mode and dark mode and all those fun things inside of there. And let's take a look at this equipment, which is actually just coffees of the world. Now, when I tap on one of these, it just says it's selected, and that's kind of cool. That's fine and dandy, right? Now, let's say I wanted my entire app to be tabs. Well, I'll go back to my first episode where I show you how to do that. But let's say I want one of these flyout menus to be a tabbed page. You would think that this page here, which if I open it up, which is my coffee page, which is just a content page, would need to be changed to a tabbed page. No, incorrect. Because shell assists you with that. If we look over here at this flyout item, we can note that we have a flyout icon, and then we have a single piece of shell content that has a route on it, which is quite cool. Now here's what we can do, which is quite nifty. I can actually add a tab inside of here. All right. And I can then put that piece of content inside the shell of that flyout item. I'm going to go ahead and reboot this here so we can see what actually happens here when I boot this up. Sometimes playing around with the shell is a little funky, but let's see what this looks like here. So here's our application, and there's one tab, so it's not doing anything. All right, which is important. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and add another one. Now, when I do this, it's going to crash because it's gone ahead and actually tried to register 2 routes. So what I'm going to do here is change this route to route 2. All right, I'm going to run it again. All right, so I'm creating a tab with 2 pages in it. All right, that's what we've done here for this sort of flyout item. And when we do that, we're going to get 2 different items in here. 1, 2. Now they don't have a name, so let's give it a title of tab 1. There we go. And a title of tab 2. And when we go ahead back and forth, we should see that go ahead and light up for us automatically, which is quite nice. Very cool. Now these colors of the tabs are actually coming from our style sheet up top. So that is this disabled color, unselected color, and the foreground color here of the top tabs. This is the top tabs. Tab bar is the bottom tabs, which we'll talk about next. All right. So there we go. We got tabs on tabs on tabs on tabs. It's quite nice. All right. Now, here's something that's also very cool that you can do with this. Is one, you could add more inside of here, right? You could add more shell content. But what we're going to do is add another tab, another one. All right. Now what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go ahead and just add a single piece of content in there. And now we're going to note that there's actually 2 tabs. Let me bring that over. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Pretty cool, right? There's tabs here because this tab has 2 items inside of it. Down here, we have 2 as well, but this tab needs a name. Title, tab 1, and then down here, title, tab 2. Just like that. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. And like I said earlier, those colors for the bottom tabs are coming from this style sheet here. So we can see that I have all the different app theme bindings for light theme and dark theme. So if I change this over into dark theme here, we get the dark theme. Very, very nice. Which is quite cool. Not bad. So the only difference between here is we got a lot of tabs, a lot of pages going on, which is quite nice. All right. Now what you're saying is, well, what about those icons? Now, I talked about it earlier. You just use your font icons just like always, all right? So nothing crazy, but I'm going to show you how to set that over here. So what we're going to do is on this tab, we are going to set the tab.icon. Icon. There we go. And what I can do is use a font image source. So I can go ahead and take that, paste it in, take this, paste it in, and let's change it from icon coffee to, let's say this mug over here. So let's go ahead and take this to our mug, save it, and let's go ahead and go back and forth just so it refreshes there. And now we get 2 different icons with coffee and coffee in a mug. That's it. So all we've done is added tab.icon, font image source, or an image if you have an image in your application, and you're good to go. All right, and that's pretty much all you have to do, really, to be honest with you. You got coffees of the world, tab 1, tab 2, you got your tabs on top. You can add a bunch of them in there. It's just like what you saw earlier. And if you're using the tabbed page, like I said earlier, there's the icon image source, and that's what you would set with your font image source. I'll put a video down in the show notes and up over there to my most recent video, if you follow most relatively recent video, talking about how to use font icons inside of your applications just like this. All right, now last things last. When it comes to tabs, tabbed pages, all this stuff that I showed you, is that you can also navigate, right? So when I click on this, I'm selecting it. But how does the actual navigation work? Well, let's take a look at that. And let's do it in both single tab and inside of a tab sandwich, if you will, or a tab inside of a tab. So let's see what happens there. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop running this application. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this over to just tab content page 3. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is come into my view model over here. So inside this view model, what I'm doing is I'm just saying whenever this is selected, just go ahead and click on that selected alert and go from there. So instead of doing that, let's come in and just say await app shell dot current go to current go to async. I'm going to do name of, and let's do add my coffee page. All right, so nothing fancy. That's just a page in the stack over here that has some content on it. And let's see what happens here when we go ahead and try to navigate to that page from one of those tabs. All right, so it's going to boot it up. And let's click on it here. And boom, there we go. It's navigated into it. Now this is I should have noted that that's actually a modal page, so that comes up on top of it. So that's kind of funny. So let's go into that page and let's go into the add my coffee page, and let's go ahead and remove that modal, and let's just do animated, for example. And now, okay, it's still going to be modal. So let's go ahead and refresh that here and see what happens now where it's just animated instead of modal. So modals just come on top of modals, which is super important to probably actually know. And let's go ahead and take a look at what happens inside of the animated. There it goes. It animates inside of the main tab. Okay, see there? Where both, when I click on that, it navigates the page inside the tab. Tab 1, same thing. So it's not inside of this mini tab, it's the whole stack there. Like I said, basically at this point, Shell has sort of taken over navigation. You could, though, use the traditional navigation stack instead of using the actual navigator here and push the entirety of the entire application if you want to, though it wouldn't make a lot of sense in this type of application where you're already levels deep. You may want to use that when you're, navigating to another navigation page. All right, now before I get out of here, I got to tell you about one more thing, because you're probably saying, okay, there's cool tabbed pages, there's tabs built into Shell, but what about if I just want to put tabs anywhere? What if I want like cool circular tab things or like crazy tabs, or just like I want full control of my tabs? Well, don't worry, because there's an awesome library out there called Sharpnado Tabs. It is by Jean-Marie, one of our MVPs, and Jean-Marie has this awesome Sharpnado tabs, which allows you to put tabs anywhere. Fixed tabs, scrollable tabs, bottom tabs, badges, segmented controls, custom tabs, button tabs, all the things. So many tabs. Support for Android, iOS, and Windows. You can do all sorts of things. Like you can have these, circular things. You can have tabs in the middle of your page. You can have scrolly tabs. You can have all sorts of tabs. Look, you can have segmented tabs. You can have all the things, basically. So if you want them, give it a look at Sharpnado Tabs. It's a more advanced control. It's really, really cool because you can do all sorts of things like animations here, just they'll spam a lot type of thing. It's so good. There's badges. There's all sorts of things. Look at these beautiful tabs. Put some tabs in your life. It's so good. Look at this. Look at this. It's ridiculous. I love everything about it. So there you have it. Things built into your application, not built into your application. Awesome third-party controls. Things built into Xamarin.Forms and NET MAUI. Just all the things. Give it a look. Go give it a try. There you have it. That is, for all intents and purposes, the high level, deep dive, mid level, all the levels of tabbed pages, tabs, Shell navigation with tabs, putting in icons, different colors, all the things, so many tabs. This is just really all the things I could possibly imagine about tabs. If you have any more questions, put them in the comments below. I would love to hear about what you have on tabbed pages. If you're running any issues, let me know. I'm doing my best to go ahead and answer those questions. I so really appreciate all the support, all the great questions over the last year since I started this channel up, and really providing those Xamarin Now .NET MAUI 101 videos to all of you. Really appreciate it. And of course, I'd love it if you could jam that like button over there, that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. Super helps the channel, but also helps other people find videos as well. If you want to know any information about this artwork behind me or my hat at all, it's in the links below in case you have any questions about that. But really appreciate you tuning in, and thanks for watching.